You know how it is, always trying to stay ahead of the curve. And that means constantly learning new things, right? But honestly, who has the time to wade through endless articles and reports to get to the good stuff? I bet you feel that too, especially if you're all about that efficient learning.
Yeah, for sure. Information overload is a real thing, and it's only getting worse. It's not just about knowing stuff anymore. It's about knowing how to quickly find what's important and actually understand it.
And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're taking a deep dive into this new white paper from EON Reality. It's called, let me get it right, EON Reality XR Platform, Transforming Experiential Learning. And it's not just some quick overview. It's a deep dive into their platform and how it's changing the way we learn and share knowledge, like in education and all sorts of industries.
Right. And what we're going to do in this deep dive is pull out the really important stuff from this pretty massive document. We want to figure out how XR, extended reality like VR and AR is changing things based on what EON Reality has found and what all those millions of users are experiencing.
Exactly. We're looking at their data, their analysis to see what it all means for learning better and faster. Okay, so right off the bat, this white paper makes a pretty bold claim. They say their platform makes people learn 4 times faster. 4 times. And not only that, but people remember more too. They're talking 30 to 60% better retention even after 3 months. And this is based on a huge user base, like 42 million people. That's a lot of learners. That promise of faster, better learning. I mean, that's what we're all looking for, right?
Definitely. And I think a big part of why XR learning is so effective is because it's so engaging. It's not like reading a textbook.
Yeah.
You're actually in the experience, using all your senses, interacting with things. That helps you learn and remember things better.
Yeah, and they talk a lot about moving away from just passively taking in information. They want people to learn by actually doing things. It's a pretty big shift, isn't it? Like, imagine trying to learn how to use a new software by just reading the manual. Wouldn't it be so much easier to just dive in and start clicking around in a simulation?
Absolutely. The whole point of XR is to put you right there in the action. Instead of just reading about something, you can actually experience it firsthand.
Yeah.
And when you're actively involved like that, it just sticks with you better.
And to make this kind of learning available to more people, they've come up with some pretty cool innovations. One that really stood out to me was the AI-powered content creation. So basically the experts, the people who really know their stuff, they can create these immersive XR learning experiences really quickly, like in hours, not months. And they don't need to be coding wizards or anything. That seems like a huge deal for how fast we can develop new learning content.
It is. In the past, creating XR content was a really specialized thing. You needed programmers and all sorts of technical skills. But now, with this AI-driven system, the people with the knowledge can just jump in and start building. It's democratizing the whole process, which means we can create more specific and targeted training programs much faster.
Right. And it's not just about the tools. They also have this massive library of 3D assets, something like 36 million models covering all kinds of subjects. That gives you a sense of the scale and the variety of what you can do with this platform.
That's a huge advantage for content creators. It's like having a giant toolbox at your fingertips. They don't have to start from scratch every time. They can just grab what they need and build from there. It makes the whole process faster and more efficient.
And they've organized the platform around 4 different types of simulators, each with its own learning goals. There's the skill simulator for learning how to do things step by step. Then there's the decision simulator, which puts you in these scenarios where you have to think critically and make choices. And then you've got the creative simulator for problem solving and coming up with new ideas. And finally, the explorer simulator for, well, exploring and learning by discovering things. It's really smart how they've matched the environment to the way people learn best.
Absolutely, and each simulator has a very specific purpose. Take the decision simulator, for example. It's not just about making choices. It's about understanding why you're making those choices, seeing the consequences, and learning from your mistakes in a safe environment. You can experiment and take risks without real-world consequences.
Now, another thing I thought was pretty cool was the avatar-guided instruction. Instead of learners having to figure out complicated interfaces, they interact with these avatars that guide them through the experience. It's more natural, more like a conversation. The white paper calls this reducing cognitive load. Basically, it means you can focus on learning the material, not on figuring out how to use the technology.
Right. They're trying to make the whole learning process as intuitive and engaging as possible. And using avatars is a great way to do that. It taps into our natural tendency to learn from each other. It just makes the experience more comfortable and less overwhelming, especially for people who are new to XR.
And they're taking this idea of making XR development more accessible even further with this concept they call vibe coding. The idea is that anyone with expertise in a subject can basically describe the kind of XR learning experience they want using everyday language, and the platform can translate that into a real simulation without any coding required. Imagine, if you're an expert in fixing a certain type of engine, you could just explain the process and the platform could create a virtual simulation for people to learn from. It's pretty amazing, right?
It is. Vibe coding is a game changer. It removes the technical barriers that used to prevent people from creating XR content. Now, educators and industry professionals can directly translate their knowledge into immersive training modules. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities for creating highly specialized learning experiences.
So all this innovation is great, but does it actually work? Well, the white paper gives some pretty impressive results from different fields. In healthcare, for example, they found that students who used the platform understood anatomy 42% better. And get this, surgical errors went down by 68%. Those are huge improvements, especially in healthcare, where mistakes can have serious consequences.
Those numbers are really compelling. The improvement in anatomical understanding probably comes from being able to interact with and visualize those complex structures in 3D. That's something you just can't do with a textbook. And the reduction in surgical errors, that shows how effective the simulations are at preparing people for real-world procedures. It's all about building confidence and skills before you ever step into the operating room.
And it's not just healthcare. They also saw some amazing results in manufacturing. They're talking about 72% fewer operator errors, 44% faster skill acquisition, and one company even saved $3.2 million annually because they had less equipment damage. That's a pretty clear return on investment.
Those figures highlight the practical benefits of XR training for businesses. When people learn faster, they become productive sooner. And fewer errors mean less downtime, less waste, and ultimately more profit.
And they didn't forget about traditional education either. The white paper shows some great results in both STEM fields and vocational training. They found a 52% improvement in how well students grasp concepts in STEM subjects. And in vocational training, they saw 64% faster skill acquisition and 39% higher certification rates. That's directly translating into better outcomes for students.
It shows how versatile this platform is. In STEM, XR can make abstract concepts more concrete and engaging, helping students really understand the material. And in vocational training, it's all about building practical skills that translate directly into real-world jobs.
You know, one thing that really impressed me was their focus on accessibility. They mentioned that 95% of their users access content through mobile devices, and the platform even works offline, so you don't need to have a fancy VR headset or a super fast internet connection to benefit from this technology. It's reaching people all over the world, no matter their circumstances.
That's a really important point. They're making sure that everyone can benefit from XR learning, not just those with the latest and greatest technology. It's about democratizing access to knowledge and opportunity, which is something I think we can all get behind.
And looking ahead, the white paper talks about some pretty exciting developments in the works. They're working on even more advanced AI capabilities, ways to turn text into 3D models instantly, and even bringing AI offline using small language models. It sounds like they're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible with XR learning.
All these advancements are pointing towards an even more personalized and seamless learning experience. Imagine AI that can tailor the learning path to your specific needs, or being able to create immersive environments just by describing them in words. And with offline AI, the possibilities are endless.
So to sum it all up, this white paper from EON Reality presents a really strong case for XR as the future of learning. The data shows that it's not just hype, it's actually working. People are learning faster, remembering more, and applying their knowledge in real-world situations. And they're seeing these results across a wide range of fields, from healthcare to manufacturing to education.
Absolutely. Experiential learning through XR is here to stay. And with EON Reality leading the way, the future of learning is looking bright, engaging, and accessible to all.
So after hearing all this, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How could this shift toward hands-on, immersive learning change the way you approach learning new things? Whether it's for your career, your hobbies, or just your own personal growth, it's worth thinking about how XR could unlock your potential. And if you want to dive even deeper into this topic, you might want to check out some resources like, I think they have a blog called the EON-R Spoken blog. It might be worth a look.